in person, as I promised last week. Ukuthi sizobalana in person going forward, man. Yes.
How's the day going? Out of 10?
Oh, well, out of 10 is going 12, man.
Yeah.
No, out of 10, out of 10 is going 12, man. It's going 12, and I'm about to wrap my day in one of my more special sessions.
Sure.
Yes.
I wonder if you're at 7 to 1 to 2
Oh, yeah.
So, last week we had a conversation where you were introducing yourself. I do my answer.
Yeah, and today I want to talk about the rationality of worship. The rationality, obviously, the word rationality carries the idea. We want to look at the sensibility. What is the mind behind worship? And as I was thinking about this, namhlanje, most of what uNkulunkulu asks us to do as worship, must we beg from a human point of view, it's irrational. It's unreasonable. That's why I go in reluctance and it's because must you process with the human mind and the human brain. It doesn't make sense. Go to the other side, you'll find a donkey in a court. Man is tall, untie them, bring them to me. It doesn't make sense. Who are you? Where were you when I was raising these donkeys? Jesus, you never raised donkey, you were a carpenter. Like, it doesn't make sense. The master who left servants, with 5, 2, and 1 talent, profit. How do you expect me to produce at the level of 5 no 2? Only 1. It doesn't make sense. With a month end, keep it 10%. It doesn't make sense. It's irrational. Sex before marriage. It's irrational. And the holiness is like realistic. It's unreasonable. I must mind in the I'm full of cleavage. It's irrational. So that's the human mind. When we look at the commands of Scripture, we gonna resistance. It's because our minds, we can't wrap our minds. It's irrational for God to command, to tell Abraham, Isaac, the previous chapter, you just told me to get rid of Ishmael. Isaac. It's irrational for you to ask of me what I'm left with. It's the only one. To tell Isaac, so the father of many nations, Isaac. What the Bible presents to us as worship, from a natural point of view, is irrational. Maramanjo Paul go Romans 12 verse 1. Paul, I urge you in view of God's mercy. Ibe umhlatshelo, it's irrational. It's irrational. But offer your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. Now this is your rational act of worship. So Paul is arguing with our intellect. No, unreasonable. Why? It's because now we need to go back. Instruction. In view of God's mercy. So now what is the mercy? The mercy of God is when God, watch it now, denies you what you deserve. What did you deserve? We deserve death. But by His mercy, He withheld from us what we deserve. And He gave us what we don't deserve. Now that minagate nawe outside of the mercy says feel it. But the mercy mayingena ya stop lokho bekusifanele ukufa lo bengafanelanga afe wafa endaweni yethu. Uthi Paul, with that in mind, mangizothi offer your body, I'm being reasonable kahle kahle. Because you shouldn't be here to start with kahle kahle. Mangizothi offer your 10%, I'm being reasonable because I am the one who gave you the power to make wealth. So awukwazi ukuthi if no 0 ngikuzama ube no 100 mangithi ngaye 10 bese uyangibalisela futhi. Now, and why am I bringing this? I'm bringing this up because Hebrews 11:18 makhuluma ngoAbraham makonikelo Isaac. Hebrews give us Abraham's thinking with regards to the instruction of uNkulunkulu. Hebrews 11:18 Abraham reasoned ukuthi kana kahle kahle Isaac ngimthole from kuNkulunkulu. Mina no Sarah sizamile for 100 years. Sahluleka. Wavela uNkulunkulu in 1 year. wenza for thina something in 1 year we fail to do in 50 years esishadile. At times we are asicabangi kahle refusing to worship God the way he wants ukungabi nengqondo kahle ukungasebenzisi ingqondo, because if you are sebenzisa ingqondo kahle without uNkulunkulu nale 10% ebengingala ngayo ebingekho vele. Because abaningi bethu, like let's think about COVID-19 now, bringing the rationality. COVID-19 bafila abantu bebane medical care edlule yethu, bafila abantu bebafaka ama mask kwamampela, thina besifaka amahardeni mara siyaphila. So it's unreasonable ukuthi manje soba uNkulunkulu ama excuse makumele umkhonza. So when God commands us to worship, he's not asking us something that is beyond our power. It is within our power, but it's blocked by our unreasonability. Ukuthi we need to reason. So now, so we youth month, you know, it's not irrational for God to say to us, do not conform to the world. Asikho unreasonable masithi ngaloku ngigijimela emapub nanani izana enkonzweni khonza uNkulunkulu usesomuntu omusha. It's not unreasonable. Awulahlekelwa yinext ukuthi udlule into zomhlaba ufocus entweni zaNkulunkulu, because the Bible umuntu omusha unakwa Jehova. So it's not unreasonable, because ngaphandle kwa Jehova vele benye kube nabo lobusha lobo to start with. You know, so I wanted just to bring that, you know, that perspective. Because every time you look at, you know, ama instructions where Bible that expresses worship from a human point of view, it's unreasonable and all that. Yeah, but mina ngifuna ukugqoka noma kanjani. You know, mina ngifuna ukwenza noma yini. Ngifuna ulala noma kunulala nobani. You know, it's unreasonable to expect me to abstain, man. You understand? But you know, this is the temple of the Lord. You know, so I want to just to bring that discussion about the reasonability. Or when God commands us to do certain things for him, he's not being unreasonable. He's speaking from their point of view, I own it already. It's mine. Yeah. I mean, even the breath you have comes from me. That's why David Masagaivala it's not about the shepherd, it's not about, you know, the greener pastures. Would let everything that has his breath. Yeah, so in King Ayet Mfundis, ukuthi sicabanga ukuthi sinama shares noNkulunkulu kulempilo. We're thinking we are co-owners. That's why Marakuluma, we don't take it as an instruction, we take it as a suggestion. We think it's subject to our natisinarizina. Yabo ukuthi eNkulunkulu yabona this month budget ayingivumeli. Lento okushume ngizoyijamba. You are being unreasonable by rebelling. That's why uNkulunkulu when athumela uSola Amalek uSola izinto zakhanda lakhe, then uNkulunkulu wathi Sola azina get rid of you masinyane, because you are unreasonable. I'm the one who picked you from the clan of Benjamin. I made you the king that you are. Namhlanje uzongiphe attitude menye kuthuma. Sure. Athi uNkulunkulu, see what? I'm going to look for a man after my own heart. Indoda ezoba thina mangidenza kanje ibota being reasonable. That's why when David anxusela umntwana lo amthoye no Bathsheba mabegula, lithi iBhayibheli when God did not save the child but the child died, aqeda ukushonela uDavid waphakama wageza waye tempeleni wayodumisa uNkulunkulu ongasindisanga indodana yakhe, because David knew God is being reasonable by not healing that boy. Yeah. God was being reasonable by not healing that boy. Because you understand? Because God was being so even when we don't have grounds to accuse uNkulunkulu. We can't use our pain as an excuse not to serve God. So I'm a head, church head. You are being unreasonable.
But I left church, not God.
Yeah, I left church, not God. No. You are being unreasonable because God has established church as an institution through which you serve him. You don't serve God from home. You serve God within the church. Law of fair, I'm building my church. So you are being unreasonable to not serve his church. You understand? So I want to just to bring this to say ziningi izinto masuzibheke eBhayibhelini elikhuluma nathi singamakholwa, but maybe namhlanje focus because ngisikhuluma ngabantu abasha, singabantu abasha mawuthi ayibheka nabo kena ayile cha. You understand? So disobedience is being unreasonable, but when God commands us, He's speaking from a position of ownership. Now in he owns everything.
Yeah.
Like the owner of, I Hope Alive. Magafika manje ate Churchill ngicela ungishiftele. He's being rational. Yini over unreasonable. We need to know he is the owner. No wonder David, now Psalms, I believe it's Psalms 24, at the earth is the Lord's.
Yeah.
And all that's in it. So when you know you own something, you know you can come anytime and demand certain things because you are owner. So Paul would say, now when you offer your body, that is your ration. Or rational. I say this in God. Lastly, hypothetical. I own a company. Then I appoint you as a steward in my business. This is my company. You were not here when I was building the earth. You were not here when I was laying the foundation. Now that you here, then I appoint you as a steward. Manage this on my account. Every month my pay 10%.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can use the 90 for whatever you want. 10%. The deals on Nabella, you are being unreasonable.
Yeah.
I'm not being unreasonable by asking 10% from what's mine. Who am I saving in Mondo?
Come on.
Who are unreasonable? Because it's mine.
And the mouth I
Mangfuna futhi ngayivala. Ingasangeni kwase yonke le 90. So you are being unreasonable. Uyangireasonela manje uyangibalisela ngemali yami. Inyawo zami, umzimba wami, umoya wami. So kahle we are using God's resources to rebel against God.
Come on.
Hey, say that again.
We are using God's resources to rebel against God.
Help us, Lord.
And guess what? God is not going to stop his purpose because of our misbehavior. No, whenever a player is misbehaving in the field, the coach does not stop the game. He changes the player.
Yeah.
Because the coach has got you see,
It's a substitute.
a substitute. And in England, like Saul, who was substituted while he was on the throne.
Yeah.
And the foot masaka substitute wenza more. He's going to use you to mentor your replacement. He's going to use you to mentor your replacement. Umangala uSaul uyamthanda lo David man uzithumela umlazikana animrelease azoba amabhera yami kanti uNkulunkulu is using you to train, mentor and equip the very person of the place. So sithini namhlanje sithi whatever God commands you to do makakuvuse ekseni umengcole kuyabanda manje vele makuvusa ngo3 atikhuleka. He's not being unreasonable ngoba nalokuthonga boenje wabo uphiwe yiwe lithi iBhayibheli he's the one who gives us the sleep ngaphandle kwakhe ngabe namanahmeri nje wena ngabe ziyakukhalela ebusuku. You understand? Ucele yena for ubuthongo wakuba ubuthongo umnikazi wobuthongo makathi ngicela ukubumisa kancane ubuthongo awuze sizokhuluma awukwazi ukunqabela ngokwami. And that's why I wanted just to bring the practicality of what worship looks like. So ingilosi mayivela kuMary ithi you are highly favored. uNkulunkulu ucela ukuboleka isibeletho sakho because uMary understood the rationality. Mary did not even talk about Joseph. Joseph was not a factor in this discussion because ngikhuluma nomnikazi wenkampani. Ngikhuluma nomnikazi walento. We understand? So uNkulunkulu vela kuZakhariah uthi yazini sengizonizama ngizonikeza umntwana. uZakhariah makathi yabalisa athi mara wathi uNkulunkulu yazini nalomlomo wami ngizovala. Wawuvala for 9 months. So what am I saying? Now when we become unreasonable with God, we are forcing his hands to shut us down. When we refuse to affording to God what's rightfully his, we are forcing his hand to shut us down. But if we can adopt a posture like Mary, I'm your maid servant, let it be unto me as your word. Guess what? We are releasing divine enablement kwenzakala izinto empilweni zethu without the connection yabantu. So the choice is ours. The choice is ours. That's why I wanted just to bring the concept of rationality. Because what worship is in the Bible, it doesn't make sense from a human point of view.
God help us.
It's only worship. I-worship ayikomnandi. Yama ngikhuluma nge-worship angikhulumi ngale nto yethu yama-worship night. Lesithi masibuya kuyo sithi kana I enjoyed it. No. Ayikho i-worshipper e-enjoy ukuworshipha eBhayibhelini. All worshippers in the Bible, if they had their way, they would say, not me. Next 5 tenths. That's why no Jesus makase Gethsemane. He prays a prayer of a worshipper. Uthi baba yazi ngabe kuyangamne. Engabe lesitsha lesi siyadlula. But not my will. Because he became rational right there. Ukuthi nalomzimba enginawo angiziphanga. Uye ongiorganizele i-transport espele 27 virgin. So if lomzimba kumele udatshulwe owakho vele, let it be unto me. So the challenge I want to pose to us today, why do you continue being irrational, to being irrational noNkulunkulu? Because rebellion forces God to shut you down. Saul, he rebelled against God's command. How did God shut him down? uNkulunkulu through Saul, through Samuel ku Saul. uNkulunkulu, he would have established your rule forever. But because of this rebellion, you are using his resources to rebel. Now your kingdom iphela khona la.